Eye contact. That is our topic for today. Assertive eye contact and the power of eye contact in boosting your assertiveness and establishing a presence in the workplace. And it makes a huge difference. Right now, I'm looking at you at the camera, but if I start looking down here, you won't feel very connected with me, will you? So that is why it is so important to have great eye contact, especially in person. And today I'm going to focus in person, but know that even virtual, it's important to try to maintain as much eye contact as we can. I know we lose that a little bit with our cameras, but we still have those in-person conversations. And knowing how to harness that eye contact to transform your workplace presence makes a huge difference. So today I'm going to share with you why it's so important, what it does in the conversation, and 7 practical tips on how to use your assertive eye contact when you speak up at work. Today I went on my usual walk. I like to go in these dirt paths in the middle of nowhere where there are fewer human beings in the morning. It helps me reflect. In fact, I thought about this today during my walk in the bushes. And on one side was a fence, so I couldn't go there. On the other side, it was uphill and very bushy. So it really wasn't a place that I could go either. So I'm walking down this path and there's no exits. It's a one-way path that fits one person. And suddenly I see a coyote. As usual, there's a lot of coyotes here in LA early in the morning. Let's call her she. She was walking in my direction. She made eye contact and she stopped. What did I do? When I noticed her, I made eye contact and I stopped. And we were both there, paused, looking at each other, knowing that we wanted to cross each other on this path and we couldn't go to the right because of the fence. Left was uncomfortable and bushy in this hill, figuring out our next move. We were both thinking the same thing. What do we do? And so I paused for a little. She decided then to start walking forward. I had to make a quick decision. I could go forward, I could stay where I was, or I could go backwards. In that moment, I thought, I'm 2.5 times her height. And she's by herself, apparently, at least. I want to move forward. I do not want to back up. So what I did was I made even stronger eye contact and I decided to march. And I know how to march because I attended military school. So I know how to do my marches. So I started marching and really amplifying my movements, both my arms and my marches. And the instant I started to do that, she turned around and ran into the bushes up the hill and disappeared. Now, why am I sharing this story with you? I'm sharing this because I want to illustrate the power of nonverbal communication. A lot of communication with these wild animals, and I talk about a lot about my encounters with wild animals, happen in the nonverbal communication sphere of things. And a lot of these decisions are being made based on the confidence we project compared to the confidence the animal projects. And who wins? And sometimes I've backed away from coyotes, but this time I decided to move forward because I made that eye contact and I kept going and I amplified my body nonverbal gestures. I amplified everything. So sometimes amplifying your voice can be achieved by amplifying your nonverbals. It's not always about speaking louder or speaking more. You have so many other tools available to use to amplify your voice, which is essentially amplifying your presence, making people pay attention to you and respect you and what you have to say. That is the point here. Let me share another story. I flew over to South Carolina to do my TEDx talk. There were 12 speakers. The day before we actually performed our TEDx talks, we had a dress rehearsal where we all did our speeches. In this dress rehearsal at the same theater where we were going to do our talks, one of the speakers brought their daughter. Their daughter was about 10 years old. Obviously, she got a lot of attention. We were meeting each other for the first time. So we met her. We saw this little 10-year-old girl, the only child in the room in this big theater. A lot of the speakers were coming to her, me included. And asking her questions. Hey, how's it going? Who are you? What grade are you in? What do you study? Where do you live? What's your name? What's your age? And all those things. I remember at some point, one of the speakers said, that's a really mature, confident lady. She makes great eye contact and she doesn't hesitate to answer any of our questions. She was making great eye contact with all the speakers, all these adults around her. She was not hiding behind her mom or running away or looking down. Because she was so straightforward and she had that great eye contact, it reminded me of my 10-year-old self who would hide from visitors when they came to our house. I would run to our room or just go to the bathroom, just hide. I did not want to interface or interact or greet any of the visitors, even family members. It would make me anxious. When we had to attend family functions or social functions as a family, and I was 10 years old, I would freak out. It brought me so much anxiety. I didn't know what to do. I wanted to hide. I didn't want to go. Even in my teens, as I walked down the street or corridors or anywhere, I would look down. I would not look at people. I would look at the floor. And because I would look at the floor, I was walking around. Guess what happened? I would hit stuff. I would bump into people. I would bump into signs. I would bump into walls. I would bump into things because I wasn't looking forward, because I didn't want to look into people's eyes. And so I know very well that it's not easy for everyone to make that strong, assertive eye contact that signals I'm here, I'm present, let's have a conversation without even having a conversation. It's a very powerful thing. Now, luckily, I figured out my eye contact. Many years later, we had a leader who was communicating bad news to everybody in the team. Right? There were some issues with pay and everybody got affected. And he was inviting one person at a time to share these bad news. And I remember at the end of sharing it with me, he said, wow, I was impressed, Divna, with how well you responded to everything. Your level of engagement and your eye contact was fantastic, was so strong. Because I leaned in and I made really good eye contact with this leader and all the HR business partners that were in the room as they were delivering bad news. And I engaged and asked questions. What do you do these days when you are walking in the street and you pass someone that you don't know? They don't know you. I know that when I go on walks here, most people look down. Most people avoid eye contact. If you pass someone and you look into their eyes, you smile, say hi. Right? It's not that hard. For some people, it seems really hard. Certainly for my 10-year-old self, it was mission impossible. But that makes a statement. So that is true in any situation, any conversation, any workplace interaction. When you know how to use your eye contact to make a point, to drive your presence forward, to make yourself heard, it really strengthens anything you say. You see what I just did there? I paused, I gave it a moment of silence, I smiled, and I made eye contact with you. That is so simple. It's so powerful. And we don't really stop to think about how to use this tool to communicate and speak up assertively. There's a great exercise. Maybe you've seen it. Maybe you've done it. It's called the silent gaze. And what you do in this exercise is you're in silence in front of someone for 1 or 2 minutes. Someone has to time it, 1 or 2 minutes. And you sit there and you stare at each other and you don't say a word. It can get incredibly uncomfortable, but it's incredibly powerful. Pause, smile, and make eye contact. Try it out. What this exercise does when you stare at people for 1 whole minute, for 2 minutes without saying anything, it builds connection and trust. It creates the feeling of empathy and understanding. It's an exercise of mindfulness and presence. You feel present and you experience the presence of the other person as well. It creates a sense of intimacy and comfort and familiarity with that person. You start liking that person just because you're making eye contact. Eye contact shows sincerity, and especially if you do it with a smile. It's so powerful. We don't stop to think about how to use this tool to enhance our communication and to make speaking up easier. Try it out with your spouse, with your friends. Try out the eye gazing exercise and tell me what you experience and what the other person experienced. It's really important to debrief afterwards with the person you're doing the experience and how you felt. And some people are going to find it really uncomfortable, like I did, like my 10-year-old self, my teenage self did as well. But once you get past that discomfort, it's going to be empathy, trust, connection. Okay, so now I want to share with you 7 practical tips to use assertive eye contact when you speak up at work. And I also encourage you to sign up for my Assertive Way newsletter, which is based on my podcast. So I have a podcast called Speak Your Mind Unapologetically, where I share a lot of these tips. And in this newsletter, I actually write it down for you. So if you don't have time to listen to the whole episode, I'm sharing all the tips only with those who sign up for my newsletter. So you can go to assertiveway.com/newsletter. There are a lot of cultures that, more Asian cultures, the direct eye contact can be hostile. Like in Japan, if you stare at someone too long, it can be seen as hostile. So you have to be sensitive to other people's cultures as well, and at least understand what it is. Now, if they are in your culture, if they're working in your culture, then helping them get through that, because it's helpful to them to adapt to the new culture they're in. It's going to be helpful to their career progression, to make themselves heard. When they look down, you want to make them more comfortable, because maybe they're uncomfortable with the eye contact. So maybe you don't start staring them down at once. Look at them, make a point, and maybe look away a little bit, and then look back, and then look away. In fact, one of the things that you don't want to do is an aggressive stare, looking in a way that actually looks too aggressive. There's this great app where you can upload your photos and you get people to vote on how friendly, how professional you look. And the goal is for your photo to appear very professional, like you're conveying a certain level of authority, like you know what you're doing, like your authority in your area and your domain, but also you're likable and you're friendly. They give several tips on how to achieve that with your photo. I put my photo up there. The feedback that I got from a lot of these people, these are like random people who are voting. You get hundreds of votes. And one of the feedback that I got was that because my eyes were too open, I looked aggressive. I looked like I wasn't sincere or genuine, that I was not trustworthy. One of the tips in this app, from hundreds of thousands of data points with photos and evaluations, is that when you stare with your eyeballs really wide, and I tend to do that, it comes across as insincere and a bit aggressive. You've probably seen it when someone's genuinely smiling, the eyes close up a little bit, versus if you see a fully open eye and a smile, it looks insincere and fake. When you relax your eye a little bit with those individuals, relax a little bit, like you're talking to a friend, it's going to relax them as well. It's going to feel more comfortable initially. If you're in a presentation and you're trying to convey authority, you're going to start with a bit more of a gaze. And then you can move around. You want to maintain that direct eye contact to some extent, especially if you generally don't. So number 1, start with that firm gaze. It's going to signal from the beginning confidence. And then you can relax. But if you signal from the beginning that you're serious, then people are going to automatically take you more seriously. Just do that initially for a few seconds. Hold that. Here's another great exercise that I've been through. It's a public speaking exercise. When you're presenting to a greater number of people, the best practice is for you to hold your eye contact for a whole thought, with one person for a whole thought. So if I'm sharing an idea, I'm going to look at you while I'm sharing that entire idea, or while they're sharing their idea with me. And I'm only going to break that contact once that sentence or that idea is completed, and then I move on to something else. And I know it feels like artificial in the beginning, but once you get the hang of it, it becomes more natural. So you start with a firm gaze, signals confidence, signals you're serious about what you're talking about. And then you relax it a little bit. you maintain that natural balance. So that's not intimidating, especially for those who feel intimidated by, or maybe from some cultures where that direct contact is very uncomfortable, or even for introverts or shy people. Third, if you're in a meeting with more than one person, look around. That's how you connect with people. You want to include someone and get them to talk more. You want someone to speak up more. Just look at them. They're going to feel noticed. They're going to feel noticed just by you looking at them. You know how many people are in meetings who don't speak up and they're completely ignored visually? Nobody looks at them. If you take the time to look at them while you're sharing an idea, even if it's for 3 seconds, they're going to feel special, included, considered, seen, and then they're more likely to contribute more as well, just by looking at them. So look around. Don't just focus on one person. Make sure that everybody gets a little bit of time. If you're interviewing and there's a panel of 5 people in front of you, make sure you're going to make eye contact with every single person in that panel. That's going to help you connect. The fourth point is use eye contact to emphasize certain points that you want to make. If there's something important that you want to say, you can use the pause and the more direct eye contact. Something's less important, you can look away, have fun, relax. But this is important, so I'm going to hold my direct eye contact. That signals to people without you having to say, hey, pay attention, people, this is important. Right? It's telling them it's important. You don't have to tell them. They can see it in your eyes. You can also read people's reactions in the room to what you're saying based on their eye contact with you, their response. Are they avoiding eye contact or are they leaning in? 6, combine your eye contact with a positive body language, leaning in, being positive, gesticulating, smiling, nodding. All of that is positive. When you start linking those things with your eye contact, it's even more powerful. And finally, don't forget to use your eye contact to assert boundaries. When you say no and you look at people in the eye directly, when you say no, what do you think? Are they going to take you more seriously? Yes, they're going to take you a lot more seriously because it's showing that you're serious about your no. You have resolve in your no. It's not no, it's no. You see? It's not even aggressive. No, no. Just make eye contact and your no and your boundaries are going to be 10 times stronger than they are without the strong eye contact. And again, if you enjoy this and you want to get these tips directly in your inbox, make sure to sign up for my newsletter at assertiveway.com/newsletter. I'll give you the tips so that if you don't have the time to listen to the full episode, at least you can get the tips read through them in 1 minute and absorb the wisdom and the tips so that you can speak up, have a more powerful voice, communicate better, be able to advocate for yourself, for your ideas, and for others in the workplace. Anything you say is so much more powerful if you make great eye contact. Anything you say will be taken more seriously if you make good eye contact. But anything that you say, if you look down, look away, avoid eye contact, is going to signal, don't take me seriously. I'm hesitant. I'm not sure. Come and disrupt my boundaries. Don't respect me. So if you have something serious to say, and usually when we speak up, it's something serious. It's something important, something meaningful. We want to be heard. So when you speak up, make sure you have good eye contact. Work on that eye contact. And it will overcome any imperfections in what you actually say. Because with the eye contact, you demonstrate your seriousness, you demonstrate your professionalism, and you create connection at the same time, especially if you put a smile or nod at people and let them know that you're also connecting with them and present. Super powerful. You achieve so much with it. Why not do it more intentionally? And try in your everyday conversations, try with your family, with your friends, and soon it'll become a more natural but intentional part of your speaking up conversations. I hope you enjoyed this. I appreciate you. I appreciate your questions, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.